Hello aspirants, welcome to Law Excellence. In this video, we will be dealing with current affairs for beginners from the Hindu newspaper. Before going into today's session, we will be dealing with questions which are given yesterday. Let's see the first question. COG audits the expenditure from. Options are Consolidated Fund of India, Contingency Fund of India, both A and B, none of the above. COG audits the expenditure from both these funds of India. So the answer is C. Let's see the second question. Which of the following countries used the option nota for the first time? It is a factual question. The answer is India. Let's see the first article from today's newspaper. NTPC plans 120 megawatts floating solar power plant. This article comes under General Studies Paper 3. The subtopic is Infrastructure of India. The NTPC Ramagundam is now going to set up the country's largest floating solar power plant. This Ramagundam is a city in Telangana state. This NTPC is already producing 10 megawatts of electricity. After adding this floating solar power plant, it is going to produce 120 megawatts of electricity. This floating solar power plant is planned on NTPC reservoir spread across almost 4,600 acres. Due to the moderating effect of water on panel temperature, the floating solar power plants has higher efficiency. Further, it can be reduce the water evaporation from the reservoir and conserve the water. Since the land is limited, the shortage of land can also be addressed with this solar floating power plant. Let's see the next article. Careless captive jumbos get genetic IDs. This article comes under General Studies Paper 3 under Environment and Ecology, Biodiversity. We have to know what are captive elephants. Captive elephants are those that have been captured from the wild and these are used by humans. Now, every one of Kerala's captive elephants has a unique DNA based genetic ID. This task is done by Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology. The Forest Department provided blood samples of captive elephants from across the state to the Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology for DNA fingerprinting. From this, we will see what is DNA fingerprinting. DNA fingerprinting is a method used to identify an individual from a sample of DNA by looking at unique patterns in their DNA. Almost every cell in our body contains our own DNA. On average, 99.9% of the DNA between two humans is same. The remaining percentage that what makes us unique. In this 0.01%, almost 3 million base pairs will be there. That means minimum 3 million base pairs are different between any two people. Every DNA consists of A, T, G and C. These are the bases and A, T and G, C are the base pairs. DNA fingerprinting technology can be used for 1. Criminal identification, identification of paternity and identification of mutilated remains. It can be used in forensic wildlife also. That means identification of plants and animal species. Coming to the next article, Center drafts Child Protection Policy. This article comes under General Studies Paper 2 under Policies and it will comes under General Studies Paper 1 under Social Issues. From this article, we will see what is the difference between draft, bill and the act, as well as we will see the National Child Policy of 2013. As per Indian Constitution, a bill is a initiation stage of any legislation. Firstly, a bill is introduced in legislature. If it was passed by majority in both the houses, then it will go to president, and if the president gives the assent, then it's called the act. Draft bills are the bills that are issued first in the draft form. These are at the preparing stage. Now we will see National Policy for Children 2013. The government was adopted a new National Policy for Children 2013. The policy recognizes every person under the age of 18 is a child, and it recognizes a multi-sectoral and multi-dimensional approach is necessary to secure the rights of children. The policy is identified 4 key priority areas. Those are survival, health and nutrition of children. Second, the education and development. And third is protection and participation. And the fourth is focused attention. Based on this, the Ministry of Women and Child Development has developed a draft National Plan of Action for Children. That is National Plan of Action for the Children. This NPAC comes under action from 2016. The NPAC defines objectives, sub-objectives, strategies and action points and indicators for measuring progress under the 4 key priority areas. These are the 4 key priority areas we already discussed, and also identifies key stakeholders for the implementation of different strategies. This plan also puts focus on new and emerging concerns for children such as online child abuse, children affected by natural and man-made disasters and climate change, etc. This plan also takes into account of the Sustainable Development Goals and provides a roadmap towards achieving them. Coming to the present draft bill, the Ministry of Women and Child Development has placed the draft policy on its website and invited comments from stakeholders until January 4th. Until now, the child protection policy is under the broad National Child Policy of 2013. So now this will be the first policy dedicated to the protection of children. That is, and one more thing here is, unlike the National Child Policy 2013, this latest document doesn't talk about the children who may need special protection. Those are including the affected by migration, communal or sectoral violence, children forced into begging, and those infected with HIV/AIDS. Since it is a draft bill, suggestions will be taken and the appropriate changes will be made in this bill. Coming to the next article, working to bring 99% of items in sub-18 GST slab. This article comes under General Studies Paper 3 under Economy. From this article, we will discuss a previous year question which is given in 2018 prelims. The question goes like this. Consider the following items. 1. Cereal grains hulled. 2. Eggs cooked. 3 is fish processed. And the 4 is newspaper ads. Which of the above items are exempted under GST goods? Let's see the answer. Cereal grains hulled. This is definitely exempted. The second one is eggs cooked. This is processed food, so it cannot be exempted from GST. And the third is fish processed. This is also processed food, cannot be exempted. And the newspaper ads. This also is not exempted from the GST slabs. So from here, the answer is 1 only. So at least remember some of the important goods and services which are exempted and which are placed in 5% GST and which are placed under 28% slab of GST. So now we will see some of the goods which are included in 0% tax slab. The products like jute, fresh meat, fish, chicken, eggs, milk, buttermilk, curd, and some of the unprocessed food grains and etc. Some of the goods included under 28% tax slab are BDs, chewing gums, molasses, chocolates not containing cocoa, pan masalas, deodorants, etc. will be included in this 28% tax slab. In this regard, we will see some of the basics of goods and services tax. Goods and services tax is a comprehensive indirect tax on manufacture, sale and consumption of goods and as well as services throughout the India. GST would be replaced respective taxes levied by the central and states. What are the taxes at the central level are subsumed into GST? Those are central excise duty, additional excise duty, service tax, additional customs duty, that is countervailing duty, and the special additional duty of customs. What are the taxes at the state level are included in the GST? State value added tax, entertainment tax, octroi, purchase tax, luxury tax, as well as taxes on lottery. We will see some of the key facts about GST. It is a destination based tax and it has been established under 101st Constitutional Amendment Act, and it is an indirect tax for the whole country on the lines of one nation, one tax. It is a single tax on supply of goods and services in its entire product cycle of life cycle, that is from the manufacturer to the consumer. It is calculated only in the value addition at any stage of the goods or services. The final consumer will pay only his part of the tax and not the entire supply chain, which was the case earlier. And GST Council is there is to decide upon any matter related to GST, and the chairman of the GST Council will be the Finance Minister of Center. Coming to the next article, restoring the balance. This article comes under General Studies Paper 2 under International Relations, and the subtopic is India-Maldives relations. From this article, we will see what are the important relations between India and Maldives. First of all, we have to see what is the importance of any country in regard to the international relations with respect to India. So, Maldives is strategically important, that is for Indian security purpose. Maldives is important for establishment of naval bases and etc. And economic cooperation is important between India and Maldives because Maldives is located in Indian Ocean. One important factor is China factor is day by day increasing in Maldives. So to counter the Chinese issue, Maldives is very important to India, and Maldives is a part of SAARC nations. So SAARC cooperation will be important with respect to Maldives. Since Maldives is a part of maritime silk route of China, China is developing many projects like airports, seaports in southern parts of Maldives. 2015, Maldives passed a controversial land bill. It amended the constitution to allow foreign ownership of land of those who invested more than $1 billion in projects could buy land near project sites, but this area should be reproduced. That means land should be created like artificial islands at least 70% land should be created, then it can be claimed by the foreign countries which developed this. Since China is the master in making artificial island, it is a big concern for India. From the prelims point of view, we will see some of the operations done by India in Maldives. Number one is Operation Cactus. It is an operation done by Indian military in 1988. Our military helped the government of Maldives to fight the coup that was against the government. And in 2014, Operation Water was done by India in Maldives. Through this operation, India supplied water to the Maldives. In recent times, relations between India and Maldives day by day increasing. Some are like Maldives is implementing India First policy. Several MOUs are signed between India and Maldives on infrastructure development and defense cooperation. MOU on conservation and restoration of ancient mosques, and MOU on joint fight against terror. For the prelims, one more important fact here is in 2016, Maldives came out of Commonwealth group of countries. Coming to the next article, Blowstering Paris. This article comes under General Studies paper 3 under Environment and Ecology. The Katowice consensus does not adequately reflect the challenge to limit global warming. In this article, we will see some of the important issues, that is UN Climate Conference and IPCC as well as UNFCCC. We will deal with these topics. The United Nations Climate Conference is an yearly conference held in the framework of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, that is UNFCCC. They serve as the formal meeting of the UNFCCC parties, that is COP. COP is nothing but Conference of Parties. We will see what is UNFCCC. It is an international environmental treaty that came into existence under the aegis of United Nations. It is signed in 1992 at New York, and it has 194 member countries. The UNFCCC is negotiated at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. This is also known as Earth Summit 1992. What is the role of this UNFCCC? It provides a framework for negotiating specific international treaties called protocols that aim to set binding and non-binding limits on greenhouse gases. Its objective is to stabilize the greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere at the level that would prevent dangerous consequences. We have to know that this treaty is considered legally non-binding. That means this treaty itself set no binding limits on greenhouse gas emissions for individual countries. The famous Kyoto Protocol was concluded in the third COP meeting at the Kyoto in Japan, and the 21st COP is held at Paris, and the Paris Agreement came from this meeting. And under UNFCCC, only Kyoto Protocol is the binding treaty and others are not binding. We have to know that United States is not ratified the UNFCCC protocol. Now we will see what is IPCC. IPCC is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Its headquarters is at Geneva. It is a leading international body for the assessment of climate change. It was established by World Meteorological Organization and as well as UNEP. It is a combined establishment of both WMO and UNEP. One important thing here is it does not conduct any research nor does it monitor any climate related parameters. It merely assesses the most recent scientific, technical and socio-economic information produced worldwide relevant to the understanding of climate change. But we have to remember it does not conduct any research by itself. Usually scientists voluntarily contributes their research to the IPCC. From this article, one more thing we have to remember is the actual thing, that is Katowice is located in Poland. In 2018, one prelims question came on the important cities which are in news and the respective countries. So please remember the cities which are important in news. Coming to the next article, price IPOs reasonably, SEBI. This article comes under General Studies paper 3 under Economy. From this article, we will see what is IPO. IPO is nothing but initial public offering. The initial public offering is the very first sale of stock issued by a company to the public. To get the capital from the public, one company has to sell its stocks in the stock market. In order to sell, it will give the initial public offering. Prior to an IPO, the company is considered private with relatively small number of shareholders made up primarily of investors such as founders, their families and friends, and professional investors such as venture capitalists and angel investors. Now, after the giving of IPOs, the company will be referred as going public. Here, the SEBI is asking the capital markets as well as the investment bankers to make the price of the IPOs so that it would be acceptable to both investors as well as issuers. Coming to the next article, mutual funds need not rely on rating agencies. This article comes under General Studies paper 3 under Economy. From this article, we will see what is mutual fund. A mutual fund is a fund that is created when a large number of investors put in their money, and it is managed by professionally qualified persons with experience in investing in different asset classes, shares, bonds and money market instruments like call money and other assets like gold and property. One of the example is HDFC mutual fund. We have to know that mutual funds are compulsory registered with the Securities and Exchange Board of India. A mutual fund is run by a group of qualified people who form a company. This company will be called as asset management company, and the operations of asset management company under the guidance of another group of people called trustees. There are three types of mutual funds. Those are open-ended funds and closed-ended funds as well as ETFs. ETFs are mix of open-ended and closed-ended funds. An open-ended fund is the one which is usually available from a mutual fund on an ongoing process. That is, an investor can buy or sell whenever they want. Whereas a closed-ended fund usually issue units to investors only once. SEBI is saying that mutual funds need not rely on credit rating agencies or any rating agencies. Coming to the next article, RBI scales up liquidity infusion. This article comes under General Studies paper 3 under Economy. The Reserve Bank of India decided to scale up the amount of liquidity infusion by 10,000 crore to 50,000 crore this month. In this regard, we will see what is liquidity infusion into banks as well as recapitalization of public sector banks. In October 2017, the government committed to infuse capital of nearly 2,11,000 crores into the PSBs. This recapitalization will be through gross budgetary support, recapitalization bonds, and from the market rising also. The government divided banks into two categories. Those are non-PCA banks as well as PCA banks. PCA is nothing but Prompt Corrective Action Framework. The Prompt Corrective Action Framework is a supervisory tool which involves monitoring of certain performance indicators of the banks and early warning exercise. Its objective is to facilitate the banks to take corrective measures, including those prescribed by the Reserve Bank in its timely manner in order to restore their financial health. The framework also ensures that it gives opportunity to the Reserve Bank to pay focused attention on such banks by engaging with the management more closely in those areas. In this regard, banking reforms roadmap, we will see a prelims question. Is frequently in use. It is related to what? Is enhanced access and service excellence. It is related to infusion of liquidity into the banks. Capital infusion is dependent on PSB performance on certain parameters which are included in ease. These parameter themes are customer responsiveness and responsible banking and credit offtake and PSBs as Udyami Mitra and deepening financial inclusion and digitalization, and the final theme is ensuring outcomes. That's it for today, guys. Questions of the day. The basic objective of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is, the options are goes like this: to stabilize the melting ice of Antarctic Ocean and to stabilize the greenhouse gas concentration in the atmosphere at a level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. And option C is reduce the carbon emission up to the level of 1992. And option D is stabilize the ozone layer depletion. Please answer this question and post your answer in the comment box. Question number 2. Consider the following statements regarding IPCC. It was established by WMO and UNEP. And the second statement is it conducts research and monitors climate related parameters. We have discussed this thing in the video, so please answer this and comment your answer in the comment box. This is our official website, that is lawx.in/CivilsPrep, and this is our Telegram channel CivilsPrep@law excellence, and please join in this Telegram channel to access relevant material and videos and etc., which will be helpful to your preparation. Thank you so much.